The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning. I'm Nico Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
To recover our natural health, our rights, and our freedoms. And I'm Paige Clarke.
And it's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater. In fact, it is
We got a
70
little
degrees.
cold snap
64
here.
degrees. Yeah.
We like it.
Yeah, the people up north are getting it too, but they don't like that.
That's right.
Getting snow up in the Michigan and from the east, so.
Well, if you have any questions, you can contact me at paige@tfnn.com.
And me, Nico at TFNN.com. And if you want to talk to us right now, it's 877-927-6648. So I ran across this article, I think you might have sent it to me, about Malaysia researchers have concluded that mandatory labeling of GMO foods is justified based on an extensive review of international and scientific and legal frameworks related to the GMOs.
Well, it's kind of nice to see that Malaysia is on the right track, in my opinion. And I do believe, and as their government is concluding, that people have a right to know what's in their food. And this was concluded by the researchers in this study.
Yeah, it says people have a right to know what kind of food they eat, and that justifies Malaysia's GMO labeling laws. And that's something that's really changed here because we're not labeling so much. They're not required to label so much.
Well, it certainly is a struggle, as we know. We've had various states in the United States that have fought for their right to label, so that those of us that believe we have a right to know what's in our food. And again, this right to know, this right to explore is really important to me. I was on, just to digress for 1 second, and we'll come back. I was on Facebook, and I posted something. I like to use Facebook as an opportunity to express my opinion or share something that may or may not resonate with people. It's freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of sharing. Sometimes I think people think that's an opportunity to just jump in and create an argument. I don't always want to create an argument.
No, because the real law states that the federal government cannot infringe on our right for speech.
Well, unfortunately, they did in this day. When it comes to the movie Vaxxed, and I want to talk about that next. But I believe that the censorship of that movie at the Tribeca Film Festival was the government interfering, or the let's just say, maybe not the government, but people may be influenced by the government and government agencies.
Or vice versa. Big corporations influence the government to do certain things that they want. That's
or private individuals, because Tribeca Film Festival made the decision, quote unquote. But that's the whole point, folks. We have a right to know. We have a right to then analyze that information, and based on what we believe, our research, people say, well, have you seen the research? Well, whose research? Your research or my research? The past president of the New England Journal of Medicine, chief editor, said for the last 20 years, the research published in the New England Journal of Medicine is not credible. Wow. That's a powerful statement for someone to say. And so my point is when people throw that at me, well, I've read the research. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
The research is often bought and paid for, and that's what I think we've seen with a lot of the GMO
I think
stuff.
we need to explain that there are lots of different types of GMOs. Some may be completely harmless. We've been doing that to our food from a growing standpoint.
You could almost think of it like some types of hybridization.
Yeah, that's the kind of, you take a plant and it's kind of tart and you want it more sweet, and you find one of them is sweeter, so you plant those seeds from the apple or whatever it is, and that makes the fruit sweeter, and that's kind of what we've done.
Mixing of species.
The mixing of species is another thing. That's a different thing now, and we can we can see that if you're doing roses and you want a nicer rose, maybe you can mix something in with it. People have done that. So we got the small roses, the large roses, different kinds of colors. And in Holland, certainly with tulips. We have fields and fields of tulips. With food, it's a different thing, I think, because not only are we GMOing them with pesticides to stop the bugs from eating them, but we have in the living species now have put different species in it. So
or maybe
with
genus,
the trout.
even farther up the chain.
Yeah,
We're messing with the genus, not just the genus species, but the higher up.
The trout or the salmon, the Atlantic salmon is what they farm now, and they splice that with a gene of a fish, or actually I think it was a crab of some kind. And this makes it grow a lot faster because that crab has a shorter lifespan, so it grows up real fast. So they're trying to make this fish not only grow much larger, but they're also trying to make its life span maybe, kind of fit into their particular worldview. Let's say we want the salmon to grow up fast, then we want it fat.
Yeah, so a lot of the reasons that people are doing this kind of research and creating these things may have all kinds of implications, but the reality is we really don't know what the long-term effects. And so when Malaysia introduced mandatory labeling laws for GMO foods, researchers at the University of Kazakhstan, Malaysia, began to study whether such laws were justified. And they were using scientific, legal, and policy documents in North America. They were looking at the European Union and Asia and U.S. And the study became an in-depth review of literature, legislation, and labeling regimes worldwide.
And gene modification, the ability to take genes from one species and splice them to another to create organisms with new properties, could be one of the biggest advances in recent science. Yet when debating whether GMOs are desirable, pro or con sides often speak past each other, such that the economic points for doing this is a great thing, or whether it's against it. And my wife has a niece, and she's married to a biologist who does this type of work. And when I talked to him a couple of years ago, we were really talking, this is going to save the planet. You don't realize what's going on, that we need these foods because there's too many people. There you go, too many people, that's the problem. Not changing the plants is not the problem. It's our lifestyle, our being raised on agricultural foods that has people making babies all over the place. As primitives, when we were hunter and gatherers, and hunter and gatherer society today usually have 1 or 2 kids. They don't have 8 or 10. In agriculture, that's when that started. So overpopulation is a problem, but changing the food necessarily might not be the healthiest things for our species in the long run. And that's my claim for the whole thing, that when you start putting things in the food that are not naturally in there, our food is our lifeline to the future.
And here's a concept here. Under a concept known as substantial equivalence, I like that word, GMO food proponents say they are functionally the same and thus safe as their natural counterparts. However, folks, I've just learned that there is some technology coming, and the name escapes me. Maybe I'll remember it in another conversation, that perhaps in the next year, major universities in the U.S. are going to have it, and this type of microscope is going to show, without a doubt, the damage that GMOs do at the DNA level within cells. This is coming, and I think there'll be no question.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so
All right,
we'll go on
take
with
a
this.
break.
Yep, the number here is 877-927-6648. Please give it a call.
I just thought of the name.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to Living a Primal Lifestyle. I'm Paige Clarke, and I'm with Nico Haan. And I just remembered what I was talking about before the break. I mentioned
the word.
Vital microscopy. This is a multi-$100 million piece of equipment that allows scientists to see the impact that genetically modified microorganisms have on the DNA of cells. This is coming. It's here. Okay. There's only one or two places where they have this big piece of equipment. But from what I understand, major universities through 2017 are going to have access to this technology, and they're going to be able to see without a doubt. And these food companies will not be able to continue to deny that these substances are potentially hazardous to it.
Well, what comes to mind to me, if they're not hazardous, why not educate the public and put it on the label so we know it's in there for our benefit?
Yeah, so we can maybe perhaps monitor whether or not someone's had a reaction. We've been learning a lot about the widespread use and the negativity of using the negative health effects that are linked to glyphosate, which is the Monsanto. Most people know of that as the Roundup or Monsanto's glyphosate. It's the active ingredient in the Roundup.
Right.
And last year, the World Health Organization finally declared glyphosate a probable carcinogen.
Right.
Now, when they say that, in my opinion, that means there's a lot of evidence. They still skate around it a little bit, but I mean, there has to be some pretty obvious evidence.
Yeah.
And however, what we've recently seen is there are studies out that show that glyphosate alone is actually less toxic than Roundup itself. That in fact there are other pesticides, or maybe it's that quantum effect, that the bad synergy of more than one toxin is worse than just one toxin, such as glyphosate. Yeah,
and we're really talking about the inert ingredients that are in the Roundup are even more dangerous, but they're not again, we're talking about labeling here. They're not required to put the inert stuff on the label itself.
And when we say the word inert, people have this connotation that inert means not harmful, and I get concerned about that in the same way that we say excipients in supplements. Excipients are things...
Extenders.
Extenders. So it says companies add ingredients to pesticides other than active ingredients in order to make the product easier to spray, more readily able to stick to plants. store longer and less likely to wash off in rain. That sounds exactly like food additives. That sounds exactly like supplemental excipients. And these are the things, folks, that we have to question. What is their impact singly? What is their impact in combination with other ingredients?
Yeah, so if you have a pesticide that you're putting on a plant and it's sticking to it like crazy, then that means it's not washing it off.
And this reminds me so much of what I was listening to a podcast where they were saying, you know, people don't understand that drugs are, even when drugs are tested for their safety, they're never tested for their interaction with other drugs. And the average person is on 10 drugs. So the research of how they interact, this is the same kind of thing, folks, what we're saying.
Yeah.
How do these chemicals interact? How do the ingredients interact? And could it be dangerous? Well, research is showing that it can be.
Here, the work of Professor Seralini and his colleagues shows just how dangerous these pesticides adjectives can be. The team worked that 8 out of 9 pesticides were tested up to 1,000 times, were up to 1,000 times, more toxic to the human cell than just the active ingredients.
So the word is adjuvants, which that's the same word. Do you recognize that from the vaccine industry?
Yeah, that's the...
You know, the aluminum and the mercury adjuvants, which they design to go along in them. So all these excipients, inert ingredients, additives, you know, we have to be concerned about what they are.
Yeah. When we do have the information, the facts are hardly reassuring. According to one study, more than 200 chemicals used as inert ingredients are listed on the dangerous hazardous pollution list in the federal statutes governing what we talk about air and water pollution. Another report found that in 1995, the list of inert ingredients included 394 chemicals that were listed as active ingredients in other pesticides. So here they're listing them as active ingredients in some pesticides, but inert ingredients on the other. When they're inert, they don't have to be labeled.
You know,
So
I'm just
that.
encouraging people to look for, in fact, try and find things that don't have labels for the most part.
Well,
If
that
you
would
get-
be, yeah.
Yeah, if you just go back
for
to
the food.
nature.
Yeah.
But for food, for everything that's around us, for the cleansers, you can clean your home wonderfully with single ingredients, baking soda, vinegar, you know, hydrogen peroxide, essential oils.
The
Yeah, these are-
common household stuff that we've had for millennia
Yeah, exactly.
is still there. We don't use it as much. This is, you know, it's disturbing. I think we need to educate people that these ingredients that they add to food. Just imagine if you're you're buying a whole chicken and that label, there's a label on there and it says something. It says chicken and it has other ingredients in it.
Yes.
That's not what you want.
No.
You want just chicken.
Exactly.
Yeah, and preferably the whole chicken. I was listening to a podcast last night, and they were talking about this, but then they kind of switched it over to pets, and they have discovered. Remember, we always talk about if their pets are eating their raw, natural food, the bones.
Pottingers.
Yeah, pottingers, cats and dogs and things like that. But they found that in the wild, of course, that the dogs are eating lots of the chicken and everything, the bones, the entrails, everything. And they have found through testing that all these ingredients make the food really palatable, easy to digest, and all the ingredients in there. You take out the bones from it, and you know, dogs love chewing on bones. They love chewing on anything. If they don't include that in there, then the health of the dog slowly goes down. You have to include everything. And I would say the same thing for us. What makes the digestion of our food much better if we have the bone broth with the meat, if we have the fat with the protein.
Take a look at what the French do. There's always a pot of consommé or bone broth on the back. Whatever their food is, they might have a sip of it. They might have poured over top of the food.
Yeah.
But they understand that those minerals that are leached from the bone broth are very healthy. Oh, I love bone broth. I mean, that's just, you know.
Yeah, and, you know, we eat so different. I was watching the Bizarre Foods, waiting for my wife to get home while I was cooking.
I've never heard of that show.
Oh, Andrew Zimmer, and he goes all around the world.
Oh, I've heard of him. I didn't realize that was the name of the show.
Well, he has a few different shows,
Yeah, okay.
but he was on one of these Italian islands, and these people there, just, you know, Sicily was, and they have all their own food, and he was in Venice and showing how the fishermen over there are not GMOing anything, but letting the natural kelp and everything grow, and encouraging that, not with chemicals, just naturally the way we've been doing it for hundreds of years. Venice, of course, is a city on the water, and their food is based on their seafood. And same with Sicily. Their food is based, everything that they grow on their island, they consume there. They don't really have food coming from the outside. Gives them a big advantage because they're doing it like their grandparents and great-grandparents did. And they're including a lot more. When you see the Zimmer, he's eating entrails, he's eating all kinds of different stuff that you never even think of eating. And I'm thrilled at this. I see that the advantages of it because of the research that you and I do, that it makes us more healthy if we eat the whole animal. It sounds disgusting to us from our perspective because we're looking at the other side of the glass here.
Right, right. Well, folks, we got to take a break, but we'll be right back.
And we have a new Health Signals issue out there, number 7, and please pick that up. Some really great articles in there, some of the stuff we talked about the last couple of weeks, in-depth articles that you need to look at. So we'll be back in a minute, 877-927-6648.
You've heard Nico de Haan as co-host of Living a Primal Lifestyle, which airs every Friday at noon Eastern Time on TFNN, and would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Nico and Paige here on Living a Primal Lifestyle. I'd like to remind you that our Primal Edge is a daily supplement that we really are fond of here, and I think you really like it. So please go to the page on TFNN.com. Also on TFNN.com, if you go here to breaking news, you'll find a brand new Living a Primal
Stretch
Lifestyle.
of the day.
A stretch of the day. This is really good about the core we're talking about today. So go check that out. And, of course, under newsletters, you can find them right here. You'll find all the different kinds of newsletters, and you'll get that.
Well,
okay, so we're talking about GMO labeling. And,
yeah,
GMO in
Franken
our
foods, and now we're talking about Franken mosquitoes.
Yeah, in the Keys, they're about to release these genetically modified mosquitoes in the Florida Keys unless we respond in force. In other words, come up and sign some papers here that.
Here we go again, folks. Let's just say, researchers are saying that they think that the release of these mosquitoes will have no significant impact, which kind of means the approval is probably imminent.
Mm-hmm.
However, and the FDA based their decision largely on data submitted by Oxitec. Oxitec is the company that produced the GMO mosquitoes. Kind of sounds like the fox, guarding,
well, this is the way
guarding the
business
hen
as
house.
usual here in America. The
Right.
drug companies will go to the legislature and say, here, this is what we need you to pass. And when you pass this, we'll be sure to keep donating to your cause because you're helping us out.
Exactly. Well, you know what? The whole stated purpose of this experiment, for those of you who may not be aware, and make no mistake, this is all wildly experimental.
They're experimenting on us.
Yeah, is the purpose of this experiment of releasing these GMO Franken mosquitoes is to eradicate mosquito populations that are responsible for spreading disease like dengue fever and Zika. The idea is that these genetically engineered male mosquitoes released into the wild would breed with the so-called disease-carrying mosquitoes, and that would result in offspring that die before they are able to breed. And Nico, let's you and I go over why this, for a couple of reasons, why this might not be such a good idea.
Well, the first is they did this already last year in Brazil. And this raises concerns that the Zika outbreak may be actually linked to these mosquitoes.
Yeah, to that Oxitec company.
Because
mosquitoes.
it was in the same area.
Yeah.
So it may or may not, we don't know, but here we go. We're being the experiment, and I think you often say this, that we are always being experimented on in our daily lives with our doctor's practice.
Here was one of the critics of the GMO mosquitoes actually speculated that the presence of the antibiotic tetracycline, wow, is that a pervasive antioxidant in the community? I mean, tetracyclines are pretty common antibiotic everywhere. That this antibiotic may have actually overridden the genetically modified DNA in the mosquitoes, resulting in an increased survival rate of the disease-carrying insects, like a survival adjustment.
There was supposed to be a less than 1% survival rate, and because of the tetracycline, and in Brazil, over the last decade, tetracycline has been used a lot with pregnant women.
And that's horrible because, tetracycline, if I recall, is the antibiotic that caused the graying of the teeth. A lot of kids, if you see that they have sort of a gray tint to their teeth,
really?
They'll say, did you take tetracycline when you were a kid? Or did your mom take tetracycline when she was pregnant? I wonder why the people in Brazil are taking tetracycline. Maybe it's because we send it down there because we don't allow it here. I forgot and left my phone on.
We don't allow it anymore? Tetracycline? I used to have tetracycline.
No, well, I mean, we know that it's not a good idea for pregnant women.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
That's
that's
something.
it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know if you're allergic to penicillin, they'll usually give you tetracycline or different, all kinds of different things. The concern was raised there because of this, and if it overrides the natural inclination for them to die off before they breed, they had said that probably we're talking about maybe a 9 or 10% survival rate instead.
Yeah.
And of course, they were injected with this dengue fever, which is related to the Zika virus, and a lot of people are speculating that that actually what caused the outbreak. And of course, now we have it all around the world. So now, all of a sudden, you can see the people getting in the Keys getting upset. They're going to release these without our permission. They never asked anybody in the area. They're just going to go do this in the Keys.
And I really find that very disturbing. It says, these are some of the other concerns that have been raised, that this particular mosquito is not native to the Keys. And is it possible that the more virulent Asian tiger mosquito, which also carries the dengue fever, will fill the void left by the reductions in numbers of this particular species.
It also says that how will genetically modified mosquitoes affect the bat population that relies on them for food? Bats have an exceptionally important part of the natural systems, and other animals could be affected as well.
Yeah, and so where are the peer-reviewed studies to support Oxytec's safety claims? We should always be asking for something to back up when these multinational corporations do research that, magically ends up saying everything's a go for their particular product. I'm always suspect for that, especially vaccines and those kind of things. But again, I'm very concerned about whether or not the proper research has been done on this.
Yeah, so I recommend people go out and buy some dino traps. These are the things that I use. I have one in my garage. I have one in our backyard. A little trap takes care of about maybe a half acre of land. There's a little light inside it with a fan. The light attracts the mosquitoes. They are sucked in by the fan. They drop into a little box, and then they live out their life in that little box with their buddies.
And not hurting anybody.
Oh,
so that's kind of a nice.
And they're around $100. Yeah, you can buy them on Amazon.
So an action alert for you folks is you can get involved with the Alliance for Natural Health. You can write to the FDA and urge them not to approve Oxytec's GMO mosquitoes in Florida. We really have to start taking action. It's not just about sharing this information, but it's being aware and then taking action, and that's what I want to encourage us all to do.
Yeah.
So, maybe we're going to have to take a break here shortly, but I kind of wanted to switch gears, if it's okay with you, and talk a little bit about the last anti-fat crusaders.
Let's talk about them.
Who are they?
Who are these people?
Yeah, who are these?
The top scientists guiding the U.S. government's nutrition recommendations made an admission last month that would surprise most Americans. Low-fat diets are probably not a good idea. It was a rare public acknowledgement conceding the failure of the basic principle behind 35 years of official American nutrition advice. Now, I was listening to a podcast yesterday about food labeling and the whole thing behind this is that in the 50s, I think it was started, where we had the recommendation by the government. And about every 5 years, they go on and they look at this thing again. And of course, about 1970s is when they were really deep into this low-fat and high-carb diet.
And we see how that was all based on a lot of flawed research.
Well, it was based really on that, for sure. Really based on the companies that produce this type of food lobbying to get the government to say, hey, we need help here.
The seed oil producers said, hey, we want to get some research that would support people buying our things instead of the natural fats.
Stick around, folks, because this is a really good segment coming up. We're going to really talk about this because the low-fat, high-carb diet is what got us into trouble, and we need to switch.
So let's get out. We'll be right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. We're talking about the last anti-fat crusaders and the dietary guidelines for Americans jointly published by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Department of Health and Humane Services every 5 years has had a profound influence on the foods Americans produce and consume. Since 1980s, they have been urged to cut back on fat, especially the saturated kind found mostly in animal foods, such as red meat, butter, and cheese. Instead, the Americans were told that 60% of their calories should come from carbohydrate-rich foods like pasta, bread, fruit, and potatoes. And that's kind of what we've done, and we kind of now see the results of that. So,
I think that's really a great summation, Nico. That was good to read that, because that's kind of what got us here.
Yes.
And as a result of us getting here, we got to sort of kind of unravel this a little bit and figure out what was going on. So in place of saturated fats, these agencies were counseling Americans to consume ever-increasing amounts of unsaturated fats, of these seed oils. And we've shared with you all for a long time how these oils are not ideal for our bodies. They get damaged easily.
Yeah.
They get rancid easily.
And this is when that started. And it's interesting that they say the Department of Agriculture was involved in this, not just the Health and Human Services, because it's all about the agriculture. So.
Oh, sure. There's fields and fields of those that can be grown,
yeah,
right?
and these foods, remember that, we often talk about how bad the vegetable oils are, but the reason these were changed is that they came up with solidifying them, hydrogenating them, so that it could look like what we traditionally use. They wanted to look like lard, therefore they bleached it because it was gray.
Right.
And then they had that dye in there to make it look like butter. So those are the two things that we always use.
So gross when you think about it. Isn't that the grossest thing you can think of?
I remember needing that thick
actually,
stuff.
Margarine is like gray.
Yeah.
Because of the nickel.
Yeah.
Listen to this. This is goosebumps on your goosebumps. The USDA, which espouses a commitment to finding healthy dietary patterns based in history, is now in the paradoxical position of telling Americans to derive most of their fats from these highly processed vegetable oils, with virtually no record of consumption of these fats in the human history, in the human diet before 1900. Wow. I mean, stop and think about it.
That started with the cottonseed oil.
And exactly. And so when you hear those words, doesn't that just kind of give you a clue?
Well, it's all, the biggest danger is when you're eating out, because if you're getting fried food, they're using these oils. They're using cottonseed oil, more now, probably soybean oil, rapeseed oil, peanut oil. All of them just start out as a liquid. They're really bad. They've stopped hydrogenating them, but they've actually made it worse in a sense.
Absolutely, and restaurants are not going to buy the oils that could perhaps be a healthier choice for you simply because of cost features.
Yeah.
So always avoid eating foods that you think may have been cooked in oil, Or, I mean, folks, I'm talking about even the salad dressing. So a lot of people go out to restaurants and they eat salads, and what they
with soy oil and stuff
with
like
so
that.
and you know that they bring them their salad dressings in an olive oil bottle, and we know that oftentimes is not the case. Many times it's a rancidified oil that they've added.
Bring your own Himalayan salt to the restaurant, and then it really makes your meal a lot better for you.
Exactly.
You know, so now it's starting to change. We have this new one plate. We've had the few different headlines come out that say, okay, saturated fat, there's no limit that you really have to do. Cholesterol, no limit on that. We were wrong. But the food plate really still has not changed. They've disguised it a little bit, but still they want you to have those 5 to 7 or 8 servings of whole grains every day. We want you to have 8 to 10 servings of your vegetables.
I really don't mind the vegetable part.
No, I don't either.
As far as I'm concerned, because of the richness of phytochemicals in the vegetables and so forth, it's that 8 to 10 servings when they just say blanketly of carbohydrates. The average person doesn't eat anything green, so they think that's their excuse to eat all the packaged, boxed, and bagged
Remember
things.
earlier I was talking about that the dogs in the wild will eat the bones and the entrails and just about every part of the thing. And the reason they do this is because the symbiotic relationship between those foods and the regular meats and fats part of it. And that's what kind of we're missing in our diet too. We're using just parts of the animals like we often say, and the parts that are missing is the health part. We're always throwing out the health part. We're eating the chicken breast that has nothing in it, and we're making sure there's no fat in it. And
could it be that exactly part of the reasons that we aren't having always that we do have researchers that can point to less than stellar health of animal food eaters is because most animal food eaters are not eating the right parts of the animal. They're not having the bone broth. They're not having the organs. They're not having the fat. So you just hit it right on the head, Nico.
Yeah. So, because of this big change, they're really having a problem because they're getting lobbied from the grain manufacturers saying, hey, we still need to be in here. You're saying fat is good now, in a sense, but how do they get around that? They're really stuck in a paradox here because they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. No, there's no, you still need to eat low fat, but there's no restriction on fat. I mean, what does that really mean? I think that people are more confused than ever now.
I think so too, and I think that it really is important that you get the information about learning to have a diet that's more based in a primal nature, foods in the form, I like to say, the triple G. If it wasn't around when your great-great-great-grandmother was around, it probably isn't good to eat. It wasn't until around 1890 that the rates of obesity in the U.S. actually started going up. I mean, actually...
Really? Was that far back?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, 1980. Excuse me, not 1890.
That's what I think, yeah.
Rates of obesity in the U.S. started climbing dramatically right around 1980. And we can see that if we parallel that with the advances in food science, right?
Yeah.
Then we can really see the difference. It's really rather striking to see what has happened. It's really as if we've become a different species.
Yeah, because in 1970 is when they started really pushing the low fat. So
it was actually, this was the year that they introduced the dietary guidelines. 1980.
1980.
Yeah,
That was the
correct.
first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
More than
And
3 decades later, here we are today, more of the same advice can only be expected to produce similar dismal health concerns. What, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
That's exactly what they're doing, for sure.
And the cost in human and dollar terms will be catastrophic. I was at a presentation, and they said that the cost of treating diabetes will be in 2035, that is not that far away, will exceed all the costs of the war on terror of the whole world.
Yeah.
Just to fight the one disease, diabetes.
Yeah, and I think both were created by our government in a sense. Not only the war on terror certainly has.
Oh yeah, we could just go on and on that.
So
yeah, let's go down that rabbit hole. Hey, these are compelling reasons, folks, that we should all get involved and reach out to our Congress and let them know we're wide awake and aware and we're learning. And it's important that these guidelines, these dietary guideline committees, have members that represent the full range of expert opinions and not just the expert opinions that benefit the Food and Drug Administration, the food and drug industries. This committee should be mandated to fundamentally reassess the guidelines' basic assumptions, based on the best and current science from both sides of the House, I believe. I think it would really give Americans a fighting chance.
We need to talk to our Congress people. We need to sign these petitions. Whether it does any good, I don't know, because we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, and listen to this.
Yep.
These measures would give millions of Americans a fighting chance in their battles against obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. What diseases earn industry the most money?
All of them.
Bingo. I wonder if we're going to see it. But it's up to us. We are powerful, so stay tuned, because that's what we're all about here.
We'll be right back,
live
folks.
longer, stronger, and healthier.
You betcha.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV. But if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
And welcome back. Folks, here's some good news from Science Daily. A Paleolithic type diet may help reduce future risks of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And there's hope, ladies. This comes from a study that showed that it would help obese postmenopausal women lose weight, improve their circulating fatty acid profile, and lower their future risk for diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And this really gets at the point that by utilizing a Paleolithic diet, where we're eliminating a lot of these packaged processed foods, we can reset we have a metabolic reset, and we can restore insulin sensitivity and improve a lot of these metabolic longevity markers. I think that's exciting, and I like seeing it in a nice big
Well, one thing that the
publication.
Paleolithic type of diet, ancestral type of diet it has no GMOs. So all the things we were talking about are eliminated through that.
And that's eliminating a big chunk of inflammatory foods. Who knows how the body's reacting?
Yeah. And a lot of people are confused because a lot of people call this a high-fat diet. In fact, in energy, it's about 40%, as it says here in the article. It may be that you're eating 60% more, but that it may be down to 30% when you think of it. It's twice, it's very compact.
Now look at this, though, Nico.
Okay.
This is talking about these two quotes, and here's one that I think is wrong. It says, eating a Paleolithic type diet without calorie restriction significantly improves the fatty acid profile associated with insulin sensitivity and abdominal adiposity and body weight, okay? However, then this says, out of Sweden, quote unquote, a Paleolithic type diet high in polyunsaturated fatty acids.
It's not right.
Yeah, may have a long-term beneficial effect on obesity-related disorders, including reduced risk for diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So see, guys, even the researchers don't understand.
Well, when they're talking about the high in the polyunsaturated fat, I'm sure talking about fish. They're not talking about the polyunsaturated fats that are the vegetable oils, which we all have big problems with. So I think that's what they're doing. It's basically lots of saturated fat, and the polyunsaturated fat are the omega-3s that we want. So it's high in that compared to our regular diet, I would say.
Well, let's look at how the
But
diets
remember that
were set
the
up.
fat has twice as much energy in it in the same package. You take a palm of the hand of the protein, and you got 3 or 4 calories per gram in that. But if you take the same amount of fat, you actually cut that fat in half, and that's what you would normally eat.
It's double dense. Fat is double dense the energy.
It certainly is.
But
I would say it's even more from vegetables.
no, it's about the same because.
But I'm talking about an amount.
Oh.
Yeah, if you take a piece of meat, you put it in the palm of the hand, that's about the right portion. You add twice as much vegetables, that's about the right portion. Eat half as much fat, that's about the right portions. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's a good way to think about
That's
it.
the way I think about it.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, you've got the mix in.
And what they're saying is unrestricted calories. Remember, when you've got enough fat in your diet, you don't overeat because you're satisfied. That's why they say you can eat as much as you want. You're not going to eat those potato chips, the stuff that makes you crave more. You're eating fat. You can never overeat fat.
Yeah, fat truly. Well, I think you can overeat it when you combine it with excessive carbs, and then that's when you get that glycation.
I'm talking
and
by
that's
itself.
When I agree with you. I agree with you.
There's no way of
So
doing
in this study that was talking about the benefits, it was really showing the difference that those women, those postmenopausal women that had those great benefits, increased the fat percentage of their total energy diet. So perhaps we need to shift and reduce some of those excess carbs. Keep the good, colorful carbs. Keep the vegetable carbs. Don't mess with those. If you enjoy them, I enjoy them.
Yeah.
Enjoy those.
And
eat
eat
them
as much
liberally.
as you want, really.
Yeah, eat them liberally. Enjoy them.
And eat them last.
Yeah, perhaps with a little
Eat
bit
the
of
protein and fat first,
butter.
then eat the carbs.
That's a great let it push through.
That's right.
That's what the French do. They have the veggies after the main meal. Well, there we go, folks. There's another show, so we'll look forward to seeing you on our next show. We hope you'll live a primal lifestyle.
Indeed. Thanks a lot for sticking around. See you on the next trip. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.